Managing your thrift savings plan is not something you should take lightly. Mistakes could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars if you don't know what you're doing. In this episode, we're going to discuss what is required to manage any investment account, evaluate some options if you're looking for some help, and also provide resources to help build your knowledge on investing and your TSP. Welcome. I'm Ed Smith, President of Valor Wealth Partners, where we're dedicated to educating federal employees on your complex and often underutilized benefits. In this episode, we want to be talking about the TSP and when you should be looking at getting some help. The reason why I came up with this episode was I was reading a social media post the other week, and this person posted that they were really concerned about losing all of their money with their TSP because everything is so volatile right now. And the comments appalled me. I was just very disgusted about what happened, so I knew I had to get back to creating some videos and helping everybody out about knowledge about what's going on. So what really appalled me? Well, first off, one of the comments said, "You look young, so you should be invested in the C, the S, and the I fund." Another comment was saying that they should be looking at the life cycle funds because they'll solve all the problems. The answer is no to both of these things. The person was clearly in an emotional state and they were fearful of losing money. So the option isn't put more risk on the solution. Both the CS and I funds, or the CS and I funds, are very risky portfolios. They go up and down with the markets. Probably not appropriate for this person, at least with their level of knowledge. The life cycle funds at a young age are still going to be very volatile, and age alone doesn't decide how much risk you should take on your portfolio. Getting advice from social media things only can be very dangerous. So we want to be able to look at some different things. Over the course of multiple decades of managing clients' monies, I've seen a lot of people get fearful about their investments. Two examples come to mind, both in the 2000 crash where somebody took out their money at the bottom of the market, and then again in 2007 crash with the housing market bubble that people took money out at the bottom of that market. Now, taking money out of the bottom of the market just means the fear set in, and that's understandable. The problem is because of that, they miss some of the best upsides on the markets. Let's first take a look at the 3 requirements to manage any investment account. The first is knowledge. Now, when you're looking at knowledge, is trying to get a base of understanding of what's going on in the markets. There's a lot of different theories and ways to be able to do this, but you really want to be able to get that base of knowledge so you can start learning about what's going on, not just in investments, but how investments are affected by different things that are out there. One of the things that we like to focus on is asset allocation. So here's a video that you can be able to take a look at of trying to be able to figure out about asset allocation and try to understand this first so you can try to learn about diversifying your portfolio and help you on this different area. The next thing you want to be able to look at is experience. It takes time to learn things and to experience what's going on. Just because you read something in the book like buy low, sell high doesn't mean it's going to be able to work for you. Experiences will help you be a better investor. Behavior is learned, and it takes time to be able to do this. There's something that's called the greed-fear cycle. And the greed-fear cycle basically says that when the markets get low, all right, and fear sets in, people start selling their investments. Then the markets go back up. And this is greed because everybody wants to get what everybody else has, that fear of missing out. And so people buy in at the top of the market. So people sell at the bottom and buy at the top, which is the worst things to possibly do. These are behavioral instincts because of fear and greed. There's a fund, the Fidelity Magellan Fund, and back in the 90s, this was one of the most popular funds. It's also one of the most successful funds if people stayed investment. But unfortunately, most people lost money during the 90s with the Fidelity Magellan Fund because of the greed and fear cycle. They weren't knowledgeable about what was going on. And if you remember back in the 90s, if you were investing back then, it was very new to a lot of people. There was a lot of greed going on with the tech bubble that was being created. And what was happening was that people were investing and selling at the wrong time. So these are learned behaviors that you have to build up over time, and you have to be able to look at this. Which leads us into the third thing that you need, which is time itself. And I'm not talking about time to learn, but time evens out all things in the markets. The markets are volatile on a short-term basis, but on a long-term basis, they become more of an even line. And this is with any type of investment, bonds, stocks, whatever you're looking at being able to do. So time really helps even out and makes things a lot better to be able to handle some of these things when you're managing an investment account. Now, one of the other things you have to look at is time, is that with time, if you're on a roller coaster that's making you sick, it's too volatile, you probably should be reevaluating the ride that you're on and the investments that you've chose to be able to do this, because they might not be appropriate for you. The timing of when to do this is something that we have to be able to look at to find out when it's best for you to be able to do these different things. Now that you know those three things, let's look at where you can get help. The first place is yourself. You learn and you teach yourself the things that you need. Now, this can be dangerous because it's going to take a lot of time and you're going to be learning by trial and error. It can be costly because you might make some mistakes, or you might be buying a lot of classes or different types of things you might be doing. But the other thing, it's going to take a lot of time to build up that knowledge and experience to be able to get this. This isn't saying it's bad. It's just saying be prepared that you're not going to have overnight success. Okay. The next place is hiring a professional. Now, not all advisors and professionals are the same. Sometimes you have coaches that aren't even certified or registered. Then you have advisors that are registered. And then you have CFPs or certified financial planners, which we are, so we're a little biased that you want to be doing this. But when you're looking at hiring a professional, you want somebody that's registered, which basically means they're responsible. You want a fiduciary, that means they're responsible to you. And you want somebody that's very knowledgeable and has the experience over multiple cycles that can help you out. An advisor that just got their licensing might not have lived through any of the cycles or the down markets and might not know how to control the emotions and behavioral things that are going to be coming up when that happens. So newer advisors can be dangerous. They're not saying that they're bad, but you want to be able to make sure that they have some knowledge and experience and they just haven't read about some of these different things. We have this video that we created. It's a little cartoony, fun type of thing of finding the right advisor for you. I would suggest watching this if you're looking to hire an advisor. Now, advisors can be costly because they're going to take a piece of the profits that you have. That's just knowledgeable that's going to happen. If you're hiring somebody, they're going to cost you some money. But where's the value for an advisor? There's two different studies, one from Vanguard called Advisors Alpha. There's another one from InvestNet, and they both came up with the same conclusion, that hiring an advisor that's actually watching this stuff, it will generate about 3% of value on an annual basis. This isn't saying a 3% better rate of return. This is saying overall, they're going to benefit about 3%. This could be tax situations. This could be by rebalancing. This could just be by controlling behavioral aspects. The reports for both of these will be in the comment section, so you can be able to go and get that as well, those reports. There's also a couple of other reports on hiring advisors, looking at the behavioral side of this, because while we're biased about hiring an advisor, we want you to be very knowledgeable before you get to any relationships. You find the right advisor for you. The next is a combination between both you learning and also hiring an advisor. When I first started investing, I received a small inheritance from my grandmother. And the first advisor that I hired was horrible. They put me in a lot of commissionable products. Just be very wary that companies generally promote and give awards to people based off of how much revenue they generate for the company, not how much good they do for you. And I hired a really good person that had some really good credentials, was like one of the best in this company. Unfortunately, I found out they were really the best at making commission. So you really want to be cautious of this. I'm sure they were very well, but they weren't good for me. The next advisors that I hired were very investment focused, very stock heavy. Now, this was great in the late 90s because the stock market was going up. And I started learning from these guys about what was going on and how to be able to do this. And I started building my knowledge. And then eventually I took over my own portfolio and started getting into the business of doing this for others, because I thought, hey, if I can make this kind of money, I can do it for others. Then 2000 happened right when I was beginning my career, so it wasn't always the best thing to be able to do it. But it's a combination between getting help early, and then maybe you progress to you want to do it yourself. And then maybe you don't progress to a point of saying, I don't want to deal with this at all. I just want to have this and have advisors because they take this burden off of me. But whatever's best for you is good. It's just getting that progression to the point that you can feel very comfortable in managing your own portfolio or having somebody help you manage that portfolio. The last place is where not to get advice. And this is very important, probably even more important than actually getting the knowledge and different things. Where not to get advice is these so-called experts. And these are people that are family members, co-workers, and again, people that are on the internet and social media like me. I'm not saying I know you. I don't know you for the most part, or most people that are probably watching this, I don't know. And you shouldn't take blanket advice from some stranger that doesn't know your unique situation. That doesn't mean you can't get valuable knowledge from many different sources on the internet and social media to help you, but don't just take it as the information that you should, oh, I got this snippet of information, I should go buy this specific thing, or they know what they're talking about, so they should be like crypto or real estate or what specific stocks. Don't take that type of very specific advice. It's building the base of knowledge from many different sources. And if you get knowledge from this resource, that's great. But we don't know you. We don't know your specific situation. So you shouldn't take information just by one source. You should be looking at multiple sources. And the people that give you advice, just like hire an advisor, should be somebody that knows you very personally, your tax situation, your emotional needs, your desires, your goals, things like that. And also things that you shouldn't be spending money on or the patterns of cash flow. So there's a lot of things that go into investing. And just by getting information by experts and not challenging what they're saying is probably one of the most dangerous things. Like that, the person that I was talking about earlier, the reason why I started this video, they were getting very bad advice. And this can be the most dangerous stuff that's out there. So please challenge the information that you're getting and don't just rely on some message board or some social media post to be your reason for investing on anything. So now let's get into how do you build your investment knowledge and your TSP knowledge? Well, the first place you want to be able to look is the different levels of knowledge. Now, there's the professional level of knowledge that I have, that I've spent many years studying, learning for, being certified in those different types of things. This is not necessary for most people. Some people choose to get this level of knowledge, even if they're not going to be in the industry of giving advice for others. But for most people, it's a lot of wasted time and energy trying to get this level of knowledge. And that's perfectly fine if you want to do this. But for most people, that's just too much that you want to be able to have. Unless it's a passion for you, have fun, enjoy. There's a lot of really unique things that are out there. The next place is just different resources. Maybe they're books, the internet, social media, a wide different things. Maybe you're taking a class or a webinar, watching a video of some guy talk about investing like myself. Whatever you want to be able to do, there's a lot of knowledges out there. We're actually going to put a list of different books in the resources section and the description section of this video so you can be able to see some different books that we like. That might be a really good starting point for the basics, but there might be some more advanced books that are there. And if you've got a specific resource that you like, put it down there. That's great. Again, let's try to keep this to investing, not the general financial planning or of different areas. It could be maybe about the Thrift Savings Plan, the TSP, different resources that are out there. So please put it down there. As long as they're valuable, we'll say, hey, great resource, thank you very much. But what we don't want is any salesy type of posts that are out there of trying to sell something that people are out there looking at. So that's one of the things you want to be looking at. And then, like I was talking about with the Thrift Savings Plan, specific information or specific guidance on a certain resource, like TSP.gov. That website is full of information about the funds, about how they're managed, about how the rates of return are, and a lot of different history that could be on there. So the knowledge on a specific account or types of investments can be very knowledgeable when you're building up something like your Thrift Savings Plan, understanding how it works. Now, one of the things that the TSP.gov does not have is a lot of knowledge about the mutual fund window. Hopefully that's going to come at some point, but the problem with not having a lot of knowledge, at least on the general site, is that now you're putting investments out there that you don't have as much resources, like the general 5 funds and the life cycle funds. There's a lot of information on TSP.gov on those specific investments, which is really great. But then when you get to 10,000 funds, it's hard to have that type of granular information that's out there. You'll have to go to more general type of information. At the end of the day, it's whatever works for you. There's many different resources that you can use, and they could be, like I said, videos, books, however you soak in knowledge is good for you. But there's a lot of different stuff out there. Hopefully we're going to have a nice list of stuff for you that you can come back here every once in a while, and we'll keep upgrading that list if we find some different things, or if some people put some good comments, we'll just add to it in the description section so you don't have to scroll through all the comments, but please check them out as well. And the last area I want to talk about is something I mentioned before. It's trial and error. It's just learning by successes and mistakes. So you build your knowledge by the good and the bad of what happens in your accounts. And it just takes time to be able to do this. So when you're investing, have some fun with it. Know that generally for the long term, that's what you want to be investing. If you're looking for the short term, this investing in investments, even if they're conservative, may not be the right thing for you. And definitely learn about that with your time frames before you're choosing any type of specific type of investment. If you're still watching, please hit that like button so we know that the content that we're providing is what you want to be able to see, and we'll build more of it. Put some comments in there of what you want us to see, because we always love the comments and we love to build the videos that you're asking for. In summary, knowledge, experience, and time are what are required to build a successful investment account, if it's something personal or the Thrift Savings Plan. Also, knowing where not to get investment advice is probably more valuable than knowing where to get investment advice. When you're looking at building your knowledge, it's going to cost you either time or money. There is no simple answer. You're going to have to spend one of those two commodities or resources to make sure that you're successful. We want the best for you and your family, so please get conflict-free, unbiased advice. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.